The guy who eventually uses shadow as a weapon is introduced in Shadow, and at an awkward upside-down angle that's pretty dang unique.
I pray to you, not for me, but for my daughter.
Opening with, and for lack of a better present participle, humanizing gore works well to hide where this movie is headed. Well, screw you, movie. I wasn't planning on tearing up 2 minutes in. What an incredibly effective shot.
Suffering for your gods is your only purpose.
Yeah, you should kill this god, and I'm pretty sure we're all with you so far. Sorry, but also, he looks like a sun god, so you may only have yourself to blame. Water might not be in his wheelhouse. But seriously, it'd be hard to not see yourself as the good guy when Excalibur leaps from the stone and just appears in your hand. Comeuppance.
It doesn't feel like a curse.
Killer line, killer delivery, gore rules. I'm interpreting this correctly, right? Consider yourself butchered. Once again, Taika and Giacchino improve on the Marvel theme with a little rock. And Moon Knight and Miss Marvel are in it. Korg's alive. Did we know that? I think we knew that. Still, Korg's alive. Enya is always a win. If I ever star in a movie, I'm definitely using it as an excuse to smooch my wife on top of a giant direwolf. So point is, I can't blame Chris for doing the same. What the? Katy Perry? No, that's Zia Kelly. I love when stunt doubles get a cameo.
In fact, he lost a lot of people in those days. That guy and that guy.
Well, one of them is Shazam now, and getting taken out by Hela isn't the worst way to go.
And his brother. And his brother again. And again.
Taika again pokes fun at the previous movies, and the unspoken joke is actually the same, since Loki is still technically alive. Or maybe not technically alive, but cosmically alive?
Everything and everyone he loved, he lost. And so he hid his heart behind a big fleshy bod.
Yeah, but we stand a thick Thor. And like I asked for at the end of Endgame, Thor is still working through his crap.
Hurry up!
Come on, everybody. Let's all just lighten up. Thor's going through some stuff. Well, it's official. These are my favorite bad guys of any MCU film. Maybe of any film? Ever? And fun fact, Habuska the Horrible is based on Toe Cutter from the original Mad Max.
We're all about to die!
Candor.
This ends here and now!
Come on. Even if Thor is a little unreliable and makes them all look a little goofy with his nonchalance, even the most prideful of the pride mouths along to Thor's catchphrase like he's a rock star. Which... even this guy gets it. You don't throw devil horns for any old superhero. Let's just say yup, and yup.
What a classic Thor adventure!
This is giving me some real Gru vibes. No, not Groot, Gru. No, not Gru the Wanderer. This guy.
You ever see Event Horizon? Interstellar?
No.
That movie explains everything really clearly.
Agreed. Not sure what everyone was so confused about. Can't even imagine why we need an EGA for it. And the OG wormhole explainer, Event Horizon? Jay knows what's up. So does this guy. Also, this is now in 3 movies, but this is the one that it actually makes sense in since it's a smarty explaining it to a normie.
Jane, it's stage 4.
I have how many stages? 4. That we know about.
You know, everyone deals with trauma differently. Some joke about it, and this actually feels like one of the most realistic aspects of this film. And I appreciate that. Look, the movie is being cavalier about stage 4 cancer, but Jane has clearly just found a coping mechanism that works for her, and this simple reveal that she's not currently at least trying to save the universe and is actually just looking for her own cure. I both hate that this is basically an actual commercial in the film, and I also love the ingenuity. The hate and love should even out to a zero sum, but it also reminds me of the scene in Wayne's World when they say they'll never sell out and then they do a bunch of commercials in a row. So obviously it gets a win.
Oh, look!
Visual effects! You really have to give Sam Neill, talented thespian and award-winning national treasure, credit for being willing to crawl off stage for a mock stage play in an action comedy that just had this. Sam Neill truly doesn't even care, and I love him for it.
Transform!
Ah, careful you don't flick too hard. And that's Ben Falcone next to Melissa McCarthy, her real-life husband and partner for a crap ton of movies, which implies that this is actually Melissa McCarthy doing a stage play at what's basically a theme park. And also that Matt Damon thinks he sucks.
Let's head back to the village, where we can drink some real Asgardian mead.
Thor's roommate Daryl, Team Thor.
Giant goats!
Oh, look at those!
Here's to hoping these two stick around forever and ever.
I loved him!
Aw, he's got so much love to give.
No, that's not it. No, that's not it. You have a go.
This is whistle. Look, I know the jokes don't land for everyone, but also it's hilarious, and shut up.
This is Glenda. We're married.
Super happy that Kirk found love. Also, is Kraglin wearing Yondu's mohawk thingy? I can't blame him, it's dope.
I don't know, maybe we should split up. Look at all of this distress.
Aw, that exaggerated collapse? Everything about Thor's fit is absolutely fantastic, but I also love that it feels like he's really joined Quill's crew here, even borrowing his style.
They either die a grismal death.
Grismal, like the Guardian of the Underworld? Or is he legit combining grim and dismal like a Zoomer?
You're giving me my ship.
It's always fun to be reminded that Thor has absolutely no idea how anyone else sees him. Lovable narcissist.
Into the snake that you cannot trust.
Haha, like the one Loki turned into and then stabbed him.
Finish the classic Asgardian. I won.
Classic. Taking it.
Just look into the eyes of the people that you love.
You could say that this is Thor seeking for and choosing love. And fun fact, it was something the Chris's came up with on the day.
Jeff, you freaking crazy ex.
I love to think that Taika had Korg need to dodge Stormbreaker because of how cool and calm Captain Marvel was when it flew past her. Also, Stormbreaker may be a little unwell, and that was the first sign. Gorgeous shot right from the panels.
To get into Valhalla, you have to die in the battle. You survived.
There are 2 lessons about gods in this film so far. Number 1, they suck. And number 2, the afterlife is tricky.
Maybe your arm is in Valhalla.
Look at the way the contrast makes him look like a skull. Nice touch. I'm sorry, but did a band name themselves Big Salad? Because that's a tight Seinfeld reference. Also, Mad Titan would be like naming your band Mein Fuhrer. Oh, well, then maybe you should listen to something else. Bale's makeup isn't exactly the same as Gore from the comics, but the missing nose would have been Voldemort-y, and Bale's impeccable acting chops aren't hidden behind any CGI. Also, he's terrifying.
Who's the new guy?
That guy. You're gonna love that guy.
He does.
Mjolnir! Mjolnir!
We've all been here, thinking we caught a glimpse of an ex, hearing their sing-songy voice, smelling their metallic smell, finally feeling their powerful glowing aura. It's a trip. And after all these years, they're doing all your favorite stuff, and it turns out they didn't need you to do it. And even worse, they're actually better at your favorite stuff now without you. Well, Michael Giacchino is always a win. What a theme for Mighty Thor. And how about Natalie Portman's workout routine? I know she still has her shirt on, but look at those arms. Eat your heart out, Cap. Oh, the reassembly is so satisfying. Compensation. A Jane and Thor falling in and out of love montage is the fastest way to learn that Chris and Natalie are still hot as hot dog and chest-bursted John Hurt, respectively. Well, a furry cat did give Fury that patch, so maybe he's a furry now? What do we know?
You okay?
It's a little hot and it's claustrophobic.
Yep, accurate. Really nailing the stages of running into an ex.
How? What?
Nope. Adding to Gore's design, I love that he's always dressed like a monk and barefoot. It gives him this vibe like he's not really there to fight, he's just checking stuff off a list till he dies. And that's when you realize the 5-year-old won't be able to fully appreciate this film without months of night terrors. Nope. No living monster cages for me. You want an enclosure that moves, it better be Howl's, not Gore's. Either way, it's still Christian Bale's.
See, people need entertainment, particularly now in times of crisis.
You gotta give it to them. They are true lovers of the craft. See what I mean? Jealousy isn't a good color on you, Stormy. So that's just the entire movie right there. Look at it. Starts with Gore in the Oasis, Thor working out, last night's fight, naked Thor, Gore with Stormbreaker, the final fight, Eternity, and even Thor in love. Well played, Meek. Didn't know you were so clairvoyant.
Stormbreaker, what are you doing? Is this about Mjolnir?
It's a weird one for it, but Chris Hemsworth is always a win. I'm never not surprised how funny he is.
He's a singer from a popular band I heard on Earth.
GNR.
Of course, Gorg knows.
Well, then, if it's color we need, let's bring the rainbow.
Yep. Jump the gun.
I don't know why she discards this one so easily. It's topical, also they ride a rainbow bridge, and everyone loves Skittles. But also, there is something so very satisfying about seeing Jane just take off like that. Fighting and doing magic while fighting is one thing, but the fun ancillary god stuff like this, I'm just happy for her is what I'm saying. She's very clearly having a good time. Outside the cancer.
Tumatoinga.
You're pronouncing Tamatoa wrong. Also, Natalie is an inch shorter than Tessa, but Jane is almost a head taller than Val, which is a nice touch for Mighty Thor.
What?
Like, I wouldn't close my eyes around Mr. Stormbroken.
I love my people, but it's all meetings in Ravenmail and meetings it could have been Ravenmail.
Relatable. Tough to quiet quit being king.
And then we shall feast. Hold on, the children. Do not do that anymore.
Progress!
Skate mates for life.
Besties.
What a neat story.
What a perfect little creep.
You know what Opti loves? Having his head ripped off.
Me trying to interact with any kid that didn't literally grow inside Julia. And fun fact, Octi was designed by Taika's daughter TK, and all the monsters were actually done by kids.
God of Dreams.
I distinctly remember Morpheus having a raspy British accent and emo hair.
God of Carpentry.
Fun fact, they actually filmed me for the God of Carpentry, but I asked them to cut it so I could keep my identity a secret. I think the Bao might actually be a Pokemon god?
That's the Cronin god.
Okay, it's the scissors throne because rock crushes scissors, and while paper covers rock, if you have scissors, you can cut that paper. And to this day, I still get comments for not mentioning the Rochambeau joke in Ragnarok, so here it is.
Oh, well, I tried to start a revolution but didn't print enough pamphlets, so hardly anyone turned up.
Poor Korg, the rock, defeated by not having enough paper.
He's famous for his entrances.
I'll be the judge of that. Now that's an entrance.
This holy council over the god.
This accent?
Really heads will roll.
Who are you two?
Sometimes Chris nails his delivery, and sometimes he whiffs it, and this time he nailed it.
Well, yes, you see the area that looks very much like a stage.
However, Russell doesn't miss. Fun fact, real fun fact, not like the Carpenter God one. There's no actual Jade Murai god that I can find, but this seems to be a reference to the Emperor of Jade from Ta Lo. Well, he must have just astonishing quads, because even the guards whose whole entire job is stand there get weak knees. Aww, and Loki made it into the movie.
Looks like a shy courgette.
First aubergine, now courgette. You non-Americans are always sneaking vegetable names into my movies. Also, I've never heard quads be compared to zucchini, but still compliments. Did I mention Chris Hemsworth workout routine? Honestly, it feels a little redundant at this point. See, even Zeus knows it's the quads the ladies want. This little pivot, oh man.
So cheer, baby cake.
How is it every line he mutters?
Have some wine, have some grape.
Like that Zeus would speak in broken English because he's Greek? I can't even with this. And I'm sorry, Maximus ain't got nothing on Zeus. And Russell Crowe doesn't even care, and I couldn't be happier about it.
Oh, yeah.
That's a pretty decent catchphrase, but also so is this.
Russian bomb.
Yep. Really ingenious way of avoiding the NC-17 rating here. Golden blood spraying everywhere. I mean, this is Kill Bill with gods.
I'm perishing!
Cool-headedness, which is all he'll have left. Got him. Holy crap, look at her biceps. Tessa Thompson's actual freaking workout routine. The golden splatter, the golden footprints. This is the goriest scene in an MCU movie, and we barely noticed. Yes, more of this. More of random Marvel characters like the Celestials just being places. We know they can shrink themselves. This doesn't even mess with Eternals continuity.
Oh, I got properly naked, which I'm okay with. Jane?
I was okay with it.
Korg?
I loved it.
Same. Leg goals for life.
It's powerful, it's beautiful.
Now we know that Stormbreaker will absolutely vanilla sky you right off a bridge. And who could blame him after years of swallowing all of your nonsense and flirtation with other weapons? That means something.
You should see them space dolphins. So
Smooth, bro. Not the god of hammers, and now we see why you're not the god of game.
Try to find answers in the bottom of a bottle, which only serves to numb the pain instead of bringing you real happiness.
Yeah. Something like that.
Korg always knows.
I want to feel shitty about you.
Aww, even though he was putting on that tough facade, he really took Quill's words to heart.
I'm sick.
What's happening?
Bye.
Okay, sometimes you get these quirky Sam moments that land. Sam from Garden State. It's not that old, it's from 2004.
Really?
Haha. And love.
I think Thor would make a great dad.
Well, then you should write the movie so that it happens that way, Corgi. Wubba lubba dub dub? I like how they're bringing their own color with them through their weapons. As Gore approaches, the shadows start to creep in behind them. Can now finally clearly see that Gore carved all the markings of his god off his head and face, leaving scars.
The eye.
Goodness, that bat growl has gotten an upgrade. MCU is all about the Evil Dead references these days.
He's nothing like you.
What was that? How exciting.
Christian Bale just chewing the shadows. I feel I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Gore's teeth are fantastic. Did he have to take a spoonful of black goo between scenes?
Choose love.
No, you. Thor, do you implore Gore in Thor 4? Again, adding on to Gore's design and characterization choices, I love that Gore fights with one hand always on the blade. Like it either can't cut him or he just doesn't care if it cuts him since it feels pretty quick. Is this a gravity thing or a style thing? Into it either way. Now that's some resourcefulness. Jane really is getting the hang of this, and even as I joked earlier, adding new attacks with Mjolnir. Ha! The planet Moon dirtball is so small that any amount of running in a straight line leads to the camera being upside down. In case you were wondering why Val isn't dead, Gore doesn't stab her with the Necro Sword, he actually steals Thunderbolt, saving your bestie with a classic Thor flying pose.
What's going on out there?
Some moron made a fridge without a door.
Understanding vending machines.
I want to keep fighting. I'm the mighty Thor.
Yes, you are.
It's your choice, Jane.
Huh. Well, look at that. A real relationship where he lets her make her own decisions even if they're not the ones he thinks are best for her. At this point in film trope land, that's kind of an expectation subversion.
Break a leg.
I'll break all his legs.
Understanding theater.
Hey, don't die.
Battle advice. And there's Taika's daughter, Mate Wakiri. Man, it's the Living Tribunal heads again. You trying to tell us something, MCU? Also, is that Thanos' babe, Lady Death?
Does anyone here have battle experience?
Understanding children.
I'm just a liking kid.
Think he knows Jack?
The power of Thor!
Thor babies? Are we about to get Thor babies?
For limited time only.
But also, good catch. That would have been an interesting twist for the MCU. A couple dozen Thor babies running around.
General Axel.
Look, I've never been the biggest GNR fan. However, November Rain is a jam to the max, and as soon as the piano kicked in here, I let out an audible oh sick. Yep, it's Thor babies, and with this solo being so classic and epic, full stupid grin on my face for this whole scene. With this floor, it's no chore for Thor to score on gore. Yes, I've been waiting to see what this stuff he can do. Ah, with gore being sore, we can't ignore this indoor encore, therefore war. My dog does that same thing when she wants to play fetch. Wow, people will not stop trying to fish milish Thor. Okay, now that's an entrance. Teamwork!
You've lost Lady Thor.
I know it comes off pretty demeaning, but if you think of it like Royal Lady Thor, it's actually kind of sick.
The name is Mighty Thor.
But yeah, it is.
Eat this hammer. Eat my hammer!
No, it works. Just changing this to my works so dang well. Ace the delivery. Hey, he learned that from watching the show. Man, Mjolnir has really gotten an upgrade. I'd be pissed too if I was Thor. I don't know if Natalie Portman ever thought she'd get to be Thor when she signed on as Jane Foster back in 2011, but that moment had to feel awesome to see for the first time. But also self-sacrifice. This is the move that really puts her over the edge. Eternity's design is so perfect. He's just like a clipping mask over a universe, and I mean that in the best possible way. They actually pulled it off. And to add Eternity to the list of Marvel characters, I was 100% sure I was never gonna see in a movie. I think at this point, all bets are off for anyone. So if anyone at Marvel is listening, let's get Nightmask, the Serpent Society, and Forbush Man in the MCU. Thanks.
Why would I spend my last moments with you when I can be with her? I choose love.
Oof, right in the feels. I don't even have anything to add. Seek love, choose love, what he said. Little grief match cut there for you.
She would have no one.
I get it. I get that Gore has been blocking this part of him, convincing himself that what he's doing is for his daughter because vengeance isn't a goal that makes you cry. Not to mention the Necrosword was the one to tell him to go to eternity.
Go to eternity.
So, you know, poison to mind and all that.
She won't be alone.
Come on, my feels are still tender. Creepy, but amazing.
I think I figured out my catchphrase.
It's perfect.
Yeah, I'm mad I don't get to hear what it is, and yeah, I'm happy that we get to witness them sharing something special just between them. If Bill and Scarlett can do it, so can these two. Dang it, genuinely didn't think this was gonna happen. I mean, it works. It's the culmination of Quill's words to Thor earlier, a paraphrased version of better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. But still.
Take my love.
This would be a hard ask for anyone, but the Thor we've just spent the last hour and 40 with is an emotional mess. This is a great way to show that he is, at bare minimum, trying. And normally I'd be like, you should probably make sure you want to be a parent, but also she's born from eternity, so you don't have to worry about baby-proofing. Rockstash.
Who turned him from sad god into dad god.
Aw, better change than the one from earlier.
He went from dad bod to god bod.
Go to hell, demon!
Yeah, yep, that's, pretty much.
If you see anyone scared or being picked on, look after them, okay? Most of all, have fun.
I love this entire relatable domestic setup. From the slippers to the drawing to the not liking pan flaps. First day of school is tough, but this is great advice.
I love it. Very creative.
Parenting.
Protect the nice one.
And even more solid advice.
Love you, Uncle Thor.
These two. When you realize it's Chris's real daughter, you start to get even more feels.
They are simply known as Love and Thunder.
Man, we can discuss the journey to get here, but for me, they stick the landing. Pulling right at my heartstrings. Like, I've been watching this movie this whole time and I didn't know it was about these two? Always a fan of metal credits.
They just want to see one of their so-called superheroes.
Honestly, super glad he's still alive, and it makes sense since the gods all had a special fear for the Necrosword.
Yes, Father.
Oh, hell yes. Roy Kent is coming for Thor? He really is here, there, and everywhere. Not sure who I'm gonna root for. I support any plot device that means more Natalie Portman as Mighty Thor. Much like last week's Moonfall, I'm not here to tell you that Love and Thunder is anything that it isn't. It wobbles, it gets lost here and there, certain jokes don't land the way they were expected to, and honestly my biggest surface complaint is the background. Something that worked really well in Ragnarok was the setting. Every location was new and it felt just slightly off from our world in a really inventive way. It was alien. Taika seems to have leaned into that here, and it can sometimes feel a little hollow. Not every time, mind you. I think the confinement of Gore's lair is perfect, but at other times I can feel the big green mats behind our actors. To be fair, this first battle probably feels off because of the use of the volume, that new tech they used in The Mandalorian where there are actual screens displaying images wrapped around them. Taika is the master of the happy sad tone, but sometimes there's just too much going on. The one real issue that I have is Gore. Christian Bale absolutely destroyed it in this role, but he was barely in the film. I genuinely wish he wasn't a one and done bad guy. There could have been several movies, Thor or otherwise, that he would work in. And it's frustrating to see such a talent knock it out of the park for such little screen time. That said, his arc works perfectly from bereaved father to bitter god butcher back to sacrificial father. And the thing is, even with the problems, I'm still delighted with this movie. And I'm left saying,
what a classic Thor adventure.
I loved getting Thor and Jane back together, especially on equal footing now, even if Natalie seems a little uncomfortable adapting to Taika's style of comedy. And she was never really a damsel in the other movies, but she steps it up in this one. Jane starts out looking for Mjolnir to cure her, but pretty quickly finds out that the hammer is making her worse. The theory that seems to make the most sense is that chemotherapy is actually poison to the body, and Mjolnir is pulling it out but not dealing with her cancer. And with stage 4, the chemo was just slowing the inevitable anyway. But even after realizing all this, Jane still chooses to spend her time as Mighty Thor helping those who need her. There's a bit of hiding from the truth, but can you blame her? And at the end, she does her best to stay away to try to get better, but chooses Thor over herself and saves him and the kids and ostensibly all the gods as well. I hate to see her go, but she went out on her own terms, not as a victim, but as a hero. And she got a sick statue out of it. Oh, and she also gets to chill with Dreadlocked Heimdall. And I have to keep giving credit to Chris Hemsworth because it doesn't work without him tying it all together.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, at this point, he could probably show up to set half asleep and nail it, but instead he brings humor and still has that unaware arrogance that always makes Thor just a little unlikable. Like the kid who never had to study before a test but still got A's? Yeah, that guy. And that's partially what makes Gore work so well. Thor can be a pompous jackass joking his way through life, but Gore has lived it. He's seen the truth of the gods, and even as he uses their power, keeps himself separate from their indulgences. The whole barefoot monk thing is deliberate and works well for a man on a mission of vengeance. He's up there with Killmonger as one of those villains who is essentially just right despite his methods not being the best. And his opening scene is one of the best openings in the MCU. It sets the tone with sad, funny, weird, and then kind of brutal. Bale's seriousness with which he approaches the role is perfect and a great counterbalance to the goofiness of Thor. Together they embody the happy, sad idea that permeates almost all of Taika's work. I think minimal screen time for Gore might be why it doesn't work as well in this film as others, but honestly, in general, I think this film could have just had more. Which, yeah, I'm pretty sure there was. Apparently the first cut was 4 hours, and no offense to Taika, but my guess is that when it comes to killing his darlings, it's the more serious stuff that goes first. That said, I'd happily watch a 4-hour Taika Waititi Thor epic. But again, that's not to say that the movie is lacking. The movie is primarily about love, and specifically Thor's recovery from all this loss and trauma through love. And making the resolution to his depression and loneliness journey be the daughter of his enemy throughout the film is intriguing. I don't recommend having kids to fix your mental and emotional issues, but everything about the Eternity sequence is a sign that Thor is maturing. When Gore arrives before Eternity, the Necrosword is gone. It would take less than a flick for Thor to end Gore forevermore. Sorry, last one, I promise. But he doesn't. Instead, he sympathizes with Gore and chooses to be with Jane. That in itself helped Gore snap back to reality. Also, it was brief in their little love montage, but we know that Thor wants kids, so it's a way for him to continue that path that Odin set him on back in Thor, to take care of people, to now raise love. I like it. It wasn't executed perfectly, but it still moves me. The movie didn't flop by any stretch, but I do worry that it not being as successful as previous MCU movies will send our Disney overlords the wrong message. Because not every MCU property is going to nail everything every time. But from the Muppet Chicken villains, to the Asgardian child soldiers, to Natalie Portman's arms, to Korg being ahead, to Gore being Gore. This film was fun and scary and bonkers just like the comics, and I loved it. So, to all the haters, eat my hammer! Okay, so no, sorry, I instantly regret that. Sounds way worse coming from me. My bad. Next week. What's next week? Let's see. Ah, yes, a movie.
What is that?
They're pan flaps from Earth.
I don't think I like pan flaps.
You love them.
No, I don't.
Pan flaps.
I've never had that in my life.
You love them.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. Pan flaps from Earth.
I don't think I like pan flaps.
Pan flaps. Pan flaps. Pan flaps.